You are listening to the EdTech Takeout from Grantwood AEA, an educational service agency that supports school districts in eastern Iowa with a focus on equity, excellence, and efficiency in education for all children.
Hello, and welcome to episode 31 of the EdTech Takeout. My name's Jonathan Wiley, and I am joined once again by my co-host and partner in crime, Mindy Carney. How are you, Mindy?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. We're back at ITEC.
We are back at ITEC, and I believe there'll be no technical difficulties. I'm sure you remember from last year about how my microphone stopped recording, and therefore we had to redo our whole episode of the whole ITEC episode last year.
Yeah, I remember. So we got
still
it done.
living it down. Yes.
Yeah.
Still living it down.
It's becoming like an annual thing now that we're podcasting at ITEC. So this
is it annual if it's only the second one?
The second annual podcast at the ITEC conference.
Maybe next year. Let's call it annual.
Yeah. Okay.
We're still together by then.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we will. All right. So yeah, ITEC today, and we're super excited because later on in the episode, we have Tammy Lind, who is coming to kind of share what she's doing, what she's sharing during ITEC. And also we'll have the one, the only Tony Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to come and share some cool stuff too. So we're really honored to have them here at ITEC with us. But like I said, they'll be here a little bit later. So do you want to hop into the main course?
Yeah. So I thought what we start with today is some tips for attending EdTech or educational conferences.
Right.
I noticed that one of the sessions that they had on today actually started at 7:30 today. Ooh. And that was for people who are new to ITEC. And to give them an orientation and kind of what to expect and navigation and stuff like that. So maybe we thought we'd jump in with maybe just a few pointers or things that we do when we approach these types of conferences for our own learning. Because we're here for learning too.
Yes, right. Yep. So you've probably attended a lot more EdTech conferences than I have. What would be your top tip? Where would you start?
My first one, I think, is kind of a personal one, I guess, for me, or things that work for me, is that I try and go see something that challenges what I believe or what I like or what I'm interested in, just to try and push me a little bit outside of my comfort zone. And maybe to give you an example, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but Mike Matera was here for all the gamification stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I ever fully bought into gamification, and I think part of that badging.
Are you bashing badging?
I'm not bashing badging. I'm just saying that I needed some convincing still a little. I think for me personally, I don't know if that was a motivating thing for me or if that would have motivated me to do a whole lot. And I have a kid who's just growing out of it, but she was very reluctant to play games if there was a possibility that she would lose.
Oh, I agree with that.
Wholeheartedly. She would rather not play the game than have the possibility of losing the game. Even just things like chutes and ladders. No, not interested because possibility of losing. And so she stayed away from stuff like that. And she's getting better. She's growing out of that stuff. But I think if she was exposed to gamification really early, then I don't think it would have been good for her. She would have found that kind of intimidating or something. So things like that. It's just an example. I try and go see things that will make me think differently about things I already have opinions on. Yeah. So, what about you? Do you ever do things like that?
Well, what? Play games that I can't win? No.
Because you're a winner.
I am a winner. No, I would say the biggest thing, and even if you aren't at a conference, but you know that it's going on at the time, is to follow a hashtag on Twitter. And I think that even if you're not a Twitter user, you can just search that hashtag. So you could do hashtag, and the ITEC one is ITEC IA. And just kind of following that, because it's really interesting, I think, to see people's different takeaways. And you obviously can't get to all of the different sessions, but if people are sharing on Twitter their learning or aha moments, it's kind of an easy way to grasp little nuggets from them. And a lot of times presenters share out resources and things like that. So it's a nice way to kind of gather as much information as you can, even if you're not attending. So that's probably my number one tip. Yeah,
and I think, even if you're not attending, because one of the conferences that we like to try and get to in the summer is ISTE, which is a really big conference. This year it's in Chicago. We've mentioned that once or twice in previous episodes.
Right.
But they even have a hashtag called Not at ISTE.
Right.
And if you're not at ISTE, you can follow along with that hashtag. And it's people talking about things that are related to what's going on at ISTE, but they are just not at ISTE. So,
and sometimes it's just lots of sad faces.
Sometimes it is
sad
just
gifts. Yeah.
Yes. People ruining the fact that they are not there, but not everybody can go to these different conferences or get the opportunity to go. So following the hashtag is a great tip, Mindy.
Thank you, Wiley.
Yeah. Okay. Another tip I've got is, and this is something I could very much resonate with, and that is to have a good system for taking notes that you can refer back to later in the year, because I guess it doesn't really matter if this is like digital or analog, but some kind of system that you can take notes on the sessions you go to and find them later, because I think finding notes is always a hard thing. I mean, for a while there, I was taking notes in Google Docs, and my Google Docs were just like random and all over the place, and I couldn't find any of them. And part of that problem was because I didn't organize them and put them into folders and make them with titles that could be searchable. Sometimes it was just untitled doc, and it's like, how many of those do I have in my Google Drive? But
truth.
I know I could do a good search for that right now. So you need a system, I think, for taking notes, and that's maybe searchable and easy to refer back to, whether you're putting those in a 3-ring binder or whether you're putting them in your Google Drive or Dropbox or somewhere else. I personally use OneNote. I think it works well for my system of organization, and I've already got that set up and good to go. So works for me. What do you use?
I am more of an analog note taker, so I like to just jot things down and come back to them. I think it was ITEC last year, I tried to do a little bit of sketchnoting, which is kind of one of my ways of stepping outside the box. So I like to do analog notes, but I'm not real comfortable with drawing and like stuff like that. So it was kind of a way for me to try something new, but also do some note taking. But to add on top of that, I would say, and this wasn't one that I'd previously thought of until you were saying that, but to travel as lightly to the conference as you can. So like right now, my backpack, I have my iPad and I have my MacBook, which I wouldn't normally do if I wasn't presenting.
Yeah.
So carry as little with you as you can to get by.
Yeah, absolutely. Because as well as that, you've got,
the end of the day.
You've got charging cables, you've got dongles, you've got all kinds of backup stuff that you need just in case because you're presenting. But I'm going to Florida in a week or so for INACO, and I'm just planning on taking my iPad because I think that's going to be the easiest and lightest way for me to travel and get around. Yeah.
Yeah. When I went to South by Southwest last year, the only thing I took was my iPad, and I'm like, I am going to do this. I'm totally going to. And the other thing, let me add one more thing, is like one of those battery packs, those rechargeable battery packs.
Ooh, yeah. Good tip.
Have to have one of those.
Yeah. Sometimes when you go to conferences, you go visit the vendor hall people, and sometimes they're given away.
But sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
You can buy a rose gold one from TJ Maxx, FYI. $10.
Speechless. Hashtag speechless.
Yeah.
All right. What else have you got, Mindy?
Let's see.
As well as battery packs.
Yeah, besides the battery pack. Kind of setting a purpose. So I think that, like you had mentioned about something outside the box, or if you have some initiative in your school district, setting a goal for yourself. So let's say my school district is going to standards-based grading. Maybe all of the sessions that I attend revolve somehow around standards-based grading, or I have that lens every time I walk into a session. So if I'm listening about an EdTech tool, how could I share this with other teachers with a standards-based grading lens? So kind of keeping that in the back of your mind so that it doesn't become just a bunch of random tools or information that you've received, but somehow kind of just viewing that through with your purpose and your goal in mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of schools will send teachers to places like this with kind of the expectation that they look at it from that kind of view, just to see what new learning and ideas they can uncover when they're here at the conference, because there's so much going on. You can't see it all, so you have to kind of narrow that down and put some kind of focus or path on your learning for the day. So I think that's a great tip.
Yeah, and if you come across someone that is really inspiring to you, or you really connect with, like, go and meet them after and go shake their hand and say, hey, you know what I mean? Like, make a connection with them, because for the most part, presenters are really happy to hear, the stuff that I shared really connected with you. So, establish a relationship, right?
Yeah, and note to self, next time I do meet one of those people, I have to remember to introduce them to Mindy.
Oh, good. I'm glad we're bringing that up.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that later.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Let's shelve that one for now then. Okay, so a couple more tips we have here. One was to make time for personal reflection, because I think that goes back to my other point about taking organized notes and things like that, because if you don't ever look back at these notes and take some time to process what's going on, then the learning you get here is going to be less impactful.
Right.
And it's just good to find some time somewhere in the day. Sometimes I'll go to a conference and I'll sit out of a session just so I get time to look through my notes and unpack a little bit, because, later in the evening when you're getting dinner or going to events and stuff like that, then you get less time for that. And before you know it, it's all lost in the shuffle. So you're taking that learning back to your district. So unpack it a little bit before you get there, and see if you can translate it for people to show them what you learned.
Yeah. And I think that kind of was my last thing too, is just that I think it's really important for you to share back in your district. So sharing is caring. And it might not be sharing all the information, or even creating this PD session for an hour that you share everything that you've learned. But, if you're in a leadership position of some sort in your district, you might work with a lot of different teachers, and maybe finding one little thing that really kind of resounds with you, like, oh, this would work really well with this teacher, and I'm just going to send them this one little thing and say, hey. But no, so I think it's important to kind of share those things, maybe not everything, but finding a tool that you really think one teacher might use effectively, and sitting down with them and kind of talking about your ideas.
All right, so we are pleased and excited. Honored to welcome to the podcast the one and only Tammy Lind. How are you, Tammy?
I am good, thank you.
Do you want to introduce yourself and tell our listeners a little bit about you and who you are, what you do?
Sure. I'm Tammy Lind. I'm an instructional coach in the South Milwaukee School District, just outside of Milwaukee. And I work kindergarten through 8th grade mostly, but then sometimes I venture in to the high school when they need additional support.
She's my amazing Minecraft mentor.
Yes, I
pretend to know things about Minecraft. Tammy actually knows things about Minecraft.
Or I go and ask a second grader, and then they help me.
That's right.
So, Mindy, I don't know if you know this or not, but Tammy is no stranger to podcasting.
Oh.
I used to listen to Tammy's podcast way back when.
Yeah.
Yes. She used to podcast with a friend of yours.
Who's that?
That would be the infamous Chad Kafka.
You used to podcast with Chad Kafka?
I did, and Judy Epke and Chad and I had 2 different ones. We had one called Mobile Reach that focused on all mobile technologies, and then we switched over to one called Teacher Tech Talk, I think it was called, and it was neat. We actually had Tony Vincent in. He came in and guest podcasted with us, and it was a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. I give you guys a lot of credit for doing this. It's work for
one of us. The other.
As long as you have someone on the team that does the work, it's good, right?
Yeah, I just ride on coattails. We talked about Chad Kafka last night. Did you know that last year for ITEC on the Goose Chase, one of our things, one of the obstacles that you had to attain was you had to tell a joke, and Chad Kafka had to be the punchline? Did you know this?
He knew that, and he did, yes.
So fun.
Yes.
Okay.
Jeez,
what does that look for?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if would that be Tammy's podcast and Chad kind of like a sidekick on that?
I think so.
Is that how that would go?
I think that's how that works.
Okay. Chad likes to
call me Wiley's sidekick.
Tease Mindy a little bit, yes.
Yeah.
So.
Very nice. Very nice. Mm-hmm.
So, Tammy, tell us about what you're doing here at ITEC. What have you got on the cards?
Sure. I have sessions that are pretty googly this time. Mm-hmm. I'm really, one of my favorites is the arts and culture. And that one, I believe, is first.
Yes.
I should know that. So that is actually at 11:15 today. And if you haven't used the arts and culture, check it out. Actually, there was a major update on Tuesday.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, and I was teaching it Tuesday. So
of course.
With some teachers, and it looked one way when I taught it, and I went to get ready for this session today, and it looks different.
Oh.
There's just some wording changes along the outside, so there's no projects anymore. But I really enjoy that session. I'm talking about Google Keep, which I think is one of the probably most underutilized Google tools that are out there and available in our domains, so our school Google accounts. I'm excited about Google Keep because I'm a special educator, and it's such a good organizational tool, so I'm really excited about that one.
So your students have access to Keep too?
We do. We
Good,
use it.
yeah. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, we use the color coding. We use the location-based reminders a lot. We're really getting into using the extension and the ability to add it to a doc. So that's this afternoon. And then we're doing some expedition and Google Earth and Maps things tomorrow. So
that stuff's always fun. I think it's really popular right now, isn't it? All the expeditions for sure, but the new Google Earth, I haven't spent a whole lot of time with the Google Earth for the web.
Right. It's beautiful.
Yeah. What kind of things are different or new or exciting on there?
Well, just the fact that it's web-based is a huge deal, especially for those of us that are in Chromebook districts or predominantly Chromebook. Just, the look of it is very different, very clean over the installed version of Earth. They have, and I'm drawing a total blank on the projects that they have. So you can go in and you can visit Jane Goodall as she is doing research on gorillas, and they have a whole project based around that. And I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. But they have a lot of those things built in. Tour Builder actually works now with Google Earth. And so if you've never used Tour Builder, that's something you should check out for sure.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in my last session tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah. I think when people think about, like, especially Google Maps and Google Earth and things like that, they think more about social studies and using them in social studies, but you've probably got some ideas for using them a little bit wider than that and more cross-curricular. Would that be fair to say? Yeah,
definitely. And I think that is something, kind of a mistake that we make, is that we limit it to social studies and map skills, and it's so much bigger. I'm really excited about using it for writing and just really getting that in-depth descriptive writing, using Earth and expeditions too. We have expeditions in my district. We've been using it. This will be our second year. But I think it, just like you said, it is so underutilized, and the assumption's always made it's a social studies thing.
Yeah.
It can be used in math, for mapping skills and measuring, and it's pretty neat, and it's just getting better. I think that's what's impressive about it.
I think even when I think about some of the read alouds I used to do with my fourth grade class, they'd be talking about places that kids didn't even have a concept of where that was or what that looked like, but just to bring that up on a map and see like a 3D kind of flyover or vision of what that looks like really helps kind of cement some of that learning.
Yeah, I'm thinking Flat Stanley in my head. Wouldn't it be fun to track your Flat Stanley? People still do Flat Stanley?
Yeah, do they?
I don't know.
I think so.
I think so, because that would be super fun too.
Yeah.
Track your route on Google Earth. Where's Flat Stanley today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
got it going on over there.
I do. It's been bothering me what that was called. It's called Voyager. I apologize.
Voyager.
Yeah,
So that's the name of the Jane Goodall project, or what is Voyager?
Voyager is, it's a whole grouping of projects. So I'm looking at one that says hiking in Honolulu, and then it has Street View that you can go and you can actually go on a hike in Honolulu, and it provides all sorts of information on whatever topic you're looking for. It's searchable. It's searchable by topic. It's searchable by for education. They have specific education.
So how do you add that in? Because I have shared Tour Builder and stuff. How does that get added into Tour Builder then? What's the...
it just came out.
Yeah,
so Tour Builder, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Tour Builder, actually, when you go to share, you have the option of adding Google Earth.
Got it. I see. Well, that's nice and easy.
Yeah, and that ability just came out recently, one of the fun things in Earth is of course, because it's Google, it's I'm feeling lucky. And it just takes you to a place in the Earth or in the world, and it gives you a description of where you are. And
nice.
I think what fun for our littles, just to put that in and have them describe what they're seeing. And
yeah, right.
Yeah, the new Google Earth it's pretty amazing. It's beautiful.
It's fast as well. I just saw you just jumped straight into a national park in Australia there or something. So
yeah, it's very and you can you can bring in My Maps. You can have all sorts of different things. You now can actually add on the mobile version 360 imagery. So, and that I have not played with, but it's just starting.
Yeah, I think it makes sense that we're, in some ways we're moving away from those desktop installed applications, and Google being Google with the power of the cloud that they have, just to harness that and make it work on lots of devices is going to be really useful for schools.
Yeah, yep. So, Tammy, I have another question for you. Besides those tools, is there anything else that you think teachers should really check out? You got something else that you're like, oh, this is really neat, or I wish more people knew about this? I hate to put you on the spot like that, but I'm going to.
Yeah. There's so much out there. I think it's hard to make a recommendation. I would say one of the newest things probably is Earth, just off the top of my head.
Yeah, right.
I know that in my school district, we're very much focused on student reflection and feedback. And so we've been venturing down the seesaw road.
Seesaw what?
I know, everybody, yeah. We have been using Recap as well. That's made by the creators of Swivel. One thing that I'd love to learn more about is Flipgrid. That's something that I know a lot of people like because you can have more rich discussions.
Yeah.
So while it's not a specific tool, I think one thing that we really, especially for those of us that are fortunate enough to be in a 1-to-1 or a 2-to-1, we really need our kids to be reflecting on their learning.
Right.
And really talking about that metacognitive, not I just knew it because it was in my head. How did I know it? And having our kids verbalize. And I think what's exciting to me is that the technology is allowing even our littles to do it.
Right.
Where they're kind of the forgotten ones,
Yes.
for talking about how they're learning. So that wasn't to dodge the question.
No, you answered it. That was great. No.
No, I think that's a great way of looking at it because, there was a few years ago where we were finding tools and thinking, all right, what can I use this for? But now we're thinking, this is a need. Where's the tools I can find to meet that need? And I'm working the other way. So, yeah, I really appreciate that. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm sure Tammy has.
I have one more question.
Lots of prep and
I have one more question.
Like that. So,
what's your favorite takeout food? Since it's the ITEC Takeout. Favorite takeout food.
I'm a pizza fan. Come on, let's be real.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yes.
But, yeah. I did try Uber Eats though. Have you guys done that?
No. What's that?
Uber. You guys don't know Uber Eats? Oh
no.
My goodness.
I don't think we have that here.
It's Uber for food.
Oh.
So what it does is you can get it. I live in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And so about 100 Milwaukee restaurants, and I'm so wrong on that number. You can actually do takeout from any of those restaurants, and Uber drivers go get it and bring it to you. Yeah, it's
no way.
It's my new favorite thing.
Yeah, yep. That and having groceries delivered,
yes.
I may never leave my house.
I love that. Yeah, good one. That's a winner right there.
Yeah, so I need to know then. Pizza, pineapple or no pineapple?
Oh boy,
oh, it depends.
Oh,
I'm dodging that question
come on.
too. It totally depends. If you need like a good greasy pepperoni and sausage, no pineapple. Sorry.
Yeah.
If you're just looking for something light and yummy, maybe pineapple. How about you?
No pineapple. Not a pineapple fan. All right. Thank you, Tammy, for coming in.
Thank you for coming in.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
We look forward to checking out the sessions you've got today and doing some new learning.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks.
All right, so our second guest today is the one, the only Tony Vincent. We're super excited to have him here today and here at ITEC, so as one of our featured speakers. So welcome.
Thanks. I'm super excited to be here.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, it's really hard to describe. When I was a fifth grade teacher, I could say I'm a fifth grade teacher. Now I am self-employed. I live in Council Bluffs, Iowa. And I do pretty much anything people will hire me to do. So that tends to be speaking at conferences or coming to schools and putting on workshops or going to different events and just talking. Really, I do whatever I can to help teachers be even more awesome.
Yeah.
And for me, my skill set includes a lot of techie stuff. That's what I'm excited about. Techiness, creativity, and productivity.
Good. And Tony, I don't know if you know this or not, Mindy, but Tony is no stranger to podcasting because I was listening to him on Check This Out with Ryan and Brian. And we had a little bit of history where Tony has been podcasting for a long time. How long?
So long that I stopped podcasting a long time ago.
You were
It's a lot easier to be a guest on a podcast than to have your own.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Before podcasting was even a thing inside of iTunes, you had to use this weird app called Juicer. It had something to do with lemon. I can't remember the name. And you had to do your manual RSS codes. And so I was talking Palm Pilots back in 2005 with a podcast called Soft Reset. We recorded it over Skype, and every time it was a pain. I had a co-host in Michigan. That was pretty cool, but I got really excited about podcasting with kids. And so at the school I taught at, we had a podcast called Radio Willowweb, which is a mouthful for me or kids to say. Yeah. And it was pretty neat. It was when Apple released podcasting inside of iTunes. It was one of 2 podcasts from an elementary school.
You were podcasting before podcasting was cool. Pioneer. Podcasting pioneer.
So we thought we'd bring you on and have you talk a little bit about the kind of sessions you're doing here at ITEC. You just finished up Draw Your Own Illustrations, Clip Art, and Avatars. Is that right?
Yeah, I think I might have started with my favorite session first.
Okay.
So I just talked to the folks in the session saying, I'm not a great drawer yet, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. It's growth mindset.
One way I'm getting better is instead of actually drawing freehand is I trace. So I have a whole series of images, particularly of me. I have an avatar that looks a lot like me and images because I take a picture of myself and then I trace it and fill, make it look kind of cartoony, and then I delete the picture that I've traced, leaving just my drawing. Yeah. So we can use that technique to make customized maps. For students they're making their own illustrations for their projects. There's a lot of possibilities, but there's also a lot of benefits to being able to draw. You notice details. I drew and color coded a map earlier this morning with that, and I was like, I didn't realize there was part of Iowa that dips down so low. And I talked about some research about how our brains really take some shortcuts when we're looking at things, and that's why it's hard to draw something freehand when you're not looking at it, because there's all these details that your brain doesn't actually
that's interesting.
keep in there. But by drawing and tracing, particularly like scientific diagrams and things, you can learn a lot. Plus, it's soothing.
Yeah, definitely.
While I'm watching TV, I do these drawings, and then I have this body of work now inside the Adobe Illustrator Draw app that's free for iPad or Android. I have all these things that I can recolor code, I can use again and again. So I have my own bank of clip art drawn by me. It's all original.
Yeah, it's neat. Well, and you share a lot of that stuff on Instagram. You have an awesome Instagram, I don't know, what do you call it? Account? Instagram what? What is it?
Channel?
It's not a
page,
channel.
account. User.
I don't know.
All that stuff.
But so you share a ton of those really great things, and you're doing a session about Instagram for teachers. Is that right? Too?
Yeah, I think that's the next session I'm presenting later today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in that I did a session like this years ago when Twitter was new. And it's that I think teachers need to see what's out there. Because when you first initially look at Instagram, it's the Kardashians, it's pictures of people's food. It's, nonsense things. Shoes. And
wait, hold up. Are you saying shoes are nonsense?
No, that's why I listed them separately.
Okay, thank
you. But you think, that stuff's all great, these artistic photos, but as a busy teacher, that's not where I'm going to do a lot of learning. Sure. However, you dig deeper and you learn about the right people to follow and the right hashtags to look up. There is a really vibrant community of educators on Instagram. And Instagram requires, unlike Twitter, a picture with everything. So it's very visual. So, Twitter, while you can include pictures, tends to be less visual and maybe doesn't appeal to so many people like Pinterest might. And so Instagram's kind of like Pinterest and Twitter combined together.
Yeah.
And just one of the side note about what I really like about Instagram is that the conversations are easier to follow. You don't have the 140 character limit. You actually have a 2,200 character limit for your captions and comments. So you can have some real discussions.
Yeah.
So I'll use these drawings that I make and insert them into these, I call them, it's like bite-sized learning, friendly, glanceable graphics. On Instagram. And I think the cartoons help make them appear more friendly and accessible. And I'll share something, and then it's neat because then others can comment and say, "Oh, I've used it this way," or "Have you looked at this tool?" And I learn a lot by putting it out there.
Yeah, I'm going to go to this session because I think it's one of the social media networks that I don't spend enough time on sometimes. I mean, I hang out on Twitter a lot. I feel like I've got a good handle on that, but I think there's a lot to learn about Instagram and making the most of it.
I'm still on the Twitter side because I can share links. It's a different set of teachers really on Instagram too, or at least the network that I've made by the people I'm following. Yeah, and they're just I've got so many great ideas.
Yeah, so Instagram. That's interesting because I was just telling Wiley too that Instagram I usually use more as a personal thing. I'm not professionally really on Instagram. I try and keep things a little bit separate. So you mentioned hashtags on Instagram. Is there a specific one that you think is great that you could share with us?
Well, some of the same hashtags as on Twitter, but I teach. Just the letter I teach. And then if you want to get specific, every grade level. So I teach K, I teach first, I teach second, I teach third.
I didn't even know this existed.
I teach middle. No, you go there and there are thousands of posts tagged that way.
Okay. It's like first chat, second chat, third chat on Twitter and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah. With that one little piece of information now, you can find quite a bit on Instagram.
I'm going to look that up now. Thank you. That's a good one.
So you're also doing something I also like to spend a lot of time with, which is getting creative with Google Slides.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of those tools that people are just going crazy with right now and using in all kinds of different fun ways with like digital storytelling and screencasting and all kinds of other stuff. So what kind of things you got to share for that?
Well, when it comes down to it, Google Slides is just a series of blank canvases. And it used to be called Google Presentations. Yeah. And I'm glad they renamed it because it's so much more than presentations. You have this blank canvas that you can add text, pictures, shapes, hyperlinks to. And so that means that there can be a lot that can be done, particularly with digital publishing, because you can collaboratively make an ABC book, even with kindergartners inside of Google Slides. It can be done pretty easily. Students are keeping digital portfolios. You can hyperlink, so you can do choose your own adventure stories. And then you could even pull in your own illustrations. Sure. And then I show different design techniques too. One of my favorites is making a Venn diagram. I know that doesn't sound exciting.
I love Venn diagrams.
But a colorful Venn diagram. So inside of Google Slides, you draw an oval and two of them, right? Duplicate, and then you go into the fill color. And if you go to custom fill, you can make a halfway transparent color. So if I do red halfway transparent oval and a yellow halfway transparent, in the middle, Google Slides will actually draw that as orange. So that you have
shut the front door. I did not know that happened.
It's pretty cool.
And that is pretty cool.
And then the polyline and curve tools inside of Google Slides is pretty awesome. And that kind of goes with my technique that I talked about earlier with Adobe Illustrator Draw, in that you can make any shape you want, really, with these tools. Sure. So I'll show an example this afternoon in that I love using icons for everything. And the Noun Project nounproject.com is one place I get so many icons. They have like 1 million icons. Oh, yeah. They do not have an icon of an overhead projector. Oh. And one time I wanted...
There's a reason.
But I wanted an icon of an overhead projector. So inside of Google Slides, I brought in a picture of an overhead projector and I used the polyline tool. You click and it makes a vertex. I outlined the entire overhead projector, deleted that image from the slide, and then with the polyline tool, it's just like any other object. So I can give it a fill, and I can give it a line color, and I can make it my own icon.
Cool.
We're going back to his tracing.
I
I
have a great tracer.
He's like a champ. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the things I like about Google Slides too is it's not one of the forgotten Google products because they keep updating it.
Right.
And, things like Google Calendar hasn't had a whole lot of love recently, but, they came out with the slide sorter view or gallery view or whatever they call that, and the ability to link slides from different presentations and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So
Those are just new.
Yeah, and those are new things.
And it's super simplified, but of course, I tweeted out, say, hey, look at this new stuff in Google Slides. And they say, well, PowerPoint's had that since the 90s.
Right.
And that is true.
Right.
All right, so what else we got? I guess I'm curious when I looked at the schedule and I saw an emoji education. And where are you going with that one? What does that look like?
Well, I'm slightly obsessed with emojis. And not necessarily emojis, but I'm obsessed with pairing visuals with text. Like anytime I can add a picture to something to increase meaning, I try to do it. Like dual coding, where you have pictures, you have words. And emojis are an easy way to do that because they're typed just like text. So just about anywhere you can type, you can include an emoji, including on a computer. Macs have the keyboard shortcut of, I think it's, I have muscle memory
right?
here. Yeah. Command, control space at the same time, and you'll bring up the emoji keyboard. Or Google Chrome, there's different emoji extensions. So you can use emojis when you're on a computer. It doesn't have to be just a mobile thing. And there are, I don't think, like 3,000 emojis. There's not one for everything, but trying to symbolize or illustrate with emojis is pretty powerful. So we'll go through a series of activities and throw out some ideas. Like one idea that I use a lot now is I've thrown out bullet points. And if I ever have to have a list, then I either use an icon from the Noun project or I use an emoji to represent each item in that list.
Yeah.
It makes it visual. It's kind of like people see that and like, oh, a list that I want to read because how does that emoji go with what he said? And then if students are the ones generating the list, it takes some thought and care to think about what emoji would actually go with this. Cause I'm not just going to put a sunglass emoji for no reason. It needs to have a reason. And because you're limited by the set of emojis, sometimes you have to get creative with how you represent. One of the things we'll do is I'll have the audience think of a vocabulary word that they'll be teaching students, and then to symbolically represent it with emojis. And then they can bring the, I have some quiz ones I'll do, like, photosynthesis. It's like you have the sun emoji, the candy emoji, and a leaf emoji, and an energy emoji all together to represent that concept. And then teachers can use this as kind of a starter to class. They could come in and there'll be this emoji puzzle up there, like, whoa, instead of putting up your standards up there, how about you put what we're learning in emojis and debrief later? Or have students have as an exit ticket express what they've learned as emojis.
Yeah, and I think that's a world that students live in and spend a lot of time in. So I could see them being really motivated by that. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they're happy, they're sunshiny, and the first thing I'll do when the people come into my session is I'll have a poll everywhere ready for them, and I'm just going to say, "How are you feeling?" Answer with an emoji, and poll everywhere will make an emoji word cloud. So I can see, hopefully, all the happy faces will be bigger than other emojis. And the other idea is that I've been doing some teaching in Google Classroom, and Google Classroom really lacks the ability to even make text bold or italicized. You can't do any formatting whatsoever. Yet there are places where I want to call attention. I want my students to see this and notice this, and emojis are the way to do that because you can break up everything, make it visual. If you need a bulleted list, if I need a bulleted list, I suggest you do this too, but use emojis, make it visual for your students. And a little fun fact, ever since, I went back through all my tweets to look up the exact date and I forgot, but it's ever since I think 2015, every tweet that I've done, I have given it an emoji to represent what it's about.
Wow. See, you are a pioneer.
I know, look at that. It's not too late, Mindy, for us to go back to our presentations and change all our bullet points to emojis now.
To emojis.
We're going to have to do that.
Steal that, and then we'll have to credit to Tony Vincent for this fun idea.
Yeah. I don't need credit. just do it and make the world a better place by making it more visual.
Yeah.
And Apple's coming out with like 200 more emojis in like the next update or something on 11.1,
I can't remember a single one that's in there.
Yeah.
I don't like using the emojis right away when they come out because not everybody's computer can render it, right? Apple adds it, and then you got to wait for Microsoft and Google to add those same ones. So they'll show up as either a combination of other emojis or some sort of code or gobbledygook. So I often avoid, at least on Twitter, and that I kind of avoid new emojis at first and give them a few months for all the operating systems to catch up. Because one of the major points tomorrow when I'm talking about this session is there's a big opportunity with emojis and communication. It can boost communication. There's also a big opportunity for misunderstandings. Emojis are drawn differently on different platforms. And if you are answering with an emoji like, I'm picking you up at the airport, and emoji red car, and your car's red, but but you're on an Android phone, that same red emoji car might be blue on somebody else's phone.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I'd like a way, like, at least on mobile devices. I mean, I'm looking at it here on my Mac. There's like a little search toolbar where you can search for emojis. I wish they had that on mobile devices too. Is there any tips for finding the emoji you would like?
Perfect emoji. Google Keyboard, Gboard, has a built-in emoji search, and that's available for iOS and Android.
That's what I need.
So you can search, but really, I use Emojipedia more than anything else. It has the best search. So you just go to emojipedia.org in your browser. And Emojipedia, on each emoji's page, it tells you what it's supposed to be, because we use emojis differently than what it might mean.
Right. Like I just saw what I thought was the praying emoji is actually a high five emoji.
Oh, two hands going together?
Yeah, really? I saw that somewhere. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't know.
Yeah, or emojis originated in Japan, so that's the thank you.
Oh.
So
what I read wasn't right.
But people are using it as high fives.
Right.
And that's where, again, communication could be misunderstood.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
But Emojipedia will tell you what it originally means or all the different meanings, and then it will show you every operating system, and it has an image of what it looks like on every operating system. So you can really see, I put this on Twitter, but how are all these other people going to see it?
It's going to be perceived.
Yeah.
All right, so your last session that you're doing here at ITEC is do-it-yourself study aids and games. And I think if I think back to when people started using technology in the classroom, it was for this kind of thing where they're like creating study guides and things. So what's new in this arena? What should people be excited about?
Well, my take on this is that who's ever doing the most work in the classroom is probably doing the most learning. And when I was a fifth grade teacher, I did a ton of work. Like, I would prepare these vocabulary games, these Jeopardy games for my students, and hot dog, it worked. Because I learned those words so well. I knew all those vocabulary words because I worked with them a lot. So the twist here is that students can make these things. So there are all sorts of websites where students can put in, a lot of times it works great with vocabulary, put in vocabulary words and then play around with those in different ways. So something as simple as creating your own crossword puzzle that you can fill in online. But then it can get more complicated. Like, for instance, Quizlet has introduced Quizlet Diagrams.
Okay.
So you can upload an image and then tag hotspots on there with vocabulary words or where to do it. And then that's turned into a game. And then you try to match them back up, match those tags to the picture. And then there's things like Quiz-Is, where you can make your own multiple choice quizzes and turn that into a class game. ClassTools.net has a ton of different games you can make, and one of them is kind of overlooked is called Connect Fours, and this is where students get to practice sorting words into groups of 4 and how they go together and turn that into a game. There's purposegames.com, which is a lot like the Quizlet diagrams that I just described, but there's a lot of power in being able to make an image, upload it to the site, and turn that image into a playable game by pointing out places. So it's great for maps.
Kind of like visual hotspots or
visual
something
hotspots,
like that?
It's as if you took ThingLink and turned it into a quiz or a game to try to match the places back up.
Quizlink.
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 There we go.
you
We
go.
should do that. Yeah.
So there's our $1 million right there.
Yeah.
Quick, go get that domain name.
Yeah,
We can
right.
retire from podcasting.
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, anything else we should ask Tony while he's here?
I have one question.
Okay.
What's your favorite takeout food? Since this is the ITEC Takeout, what's your favorite takeout food?
My favorite takeout food, Chinese.
Yeah.
Definitely General Chicken. Mm-hmm. You gotta have.
Do you get that spicy, right? I don't do Chinese food.
It's
so
fairly spicy.
It's spicy, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We just had Tammy Lind on, and she was talking about Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that before?
Like they deliver food to you?
Yeah.
Yes.
You order
anywhere. So even if it's not a food delivery sort of place, you can use Uber Eats and they will go pick up your food for you.
Different one, eh?
Yeah.
All right.
I want that.
Yes, you do.
I do.
All right. So thank you for coming on, Tony. Where can people find out more about you and find all your stuff online?
My home base is at learninginhand.com, and then you scroll down, you'll see the little icons. Find me on any social media at the bottom of that page.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tony.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed our ITEC conference special episode. It is something that Mindy and I always enjoy doing when we go to ITEC and we learn new things and we meet smart people like the ones we talked to on the podcast today. We are always grateful to hear any feedback or ideas or suggestions you have around things like this. So you can email us, podcast@gwaea.org. You can find me on Twitter @Jonathan Wiley, and Mindy is @Team Carney. And if you are so inclined, you can leave us a review on iTunes. We always love hearing from people, and we have one to share with you today. It is from Talon1998, who said, I love the EdTech Takeout podcast. No matter what I'm listening to at the time, I will stop and listen to the latest episode. I have been introduced to so many tech tools through the podcast, and both of the presenters have a great on-air personality. Well, I think I can say at least one of us do. So thanks for that, and stay tuned for a new episode that is coming very soon. Until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hit the spot.
For more information on today's episode, please visit dlgwaea.org/podcast.